G'day, it's Fran Davidson from psychicandenergywork.com.au, and this is part 3 of my monthly observations for July 2026. Part 3 always looks at the MO in the month's chart. The MO signals how we're going to be helped to come to the birth number frequencies in the period involved. What do I mean by that? So the birth number, which is part 2, that's the first key number. It comes out of the date that we're dealing with, the numeric date. And that signals what we're about to learn about, discover, be invited to step into, however we do, in a way that therefore we come to the point of exemplifying whatever we choose as dynamic, as mindset, as perception, and therefore as vision. How we do that, and therefore in another way of saying it, the MO denotes, yes, how, but also therefore the forces that are going to amplify or lead us to the birth number states. So in July 2026, we have 2 MOs, and they are exactly the same as those that we met up with in June. So it's worth going back to part 3 of the monthly observations for June last month. It's also worth revisiting my monthly update for June 2026 because both of those videos will be touching on the MOs. Why do I say that? Because the MOs, every July, we see an MO of 14.5. In 2026, we also see 109, which reduces through 10 to 1. Okay, so let's just have a look at a little bit more about 1. I've talked about it a lot, even in my part 1 for this month, is talking about the 5 and the 1 and the 10-1. So lots of reinforcement, and yet in itself that is telling, because this month really is, or not just this month actually, this year, at least the last few months, it's as if the universe is inviting people to keep revisiting what they're working with, not because they're necessarily missing anything or what they're arriving at as conclusions are incorrect, but more it's almost like the universe is helping us address what we're needing to address layer on layer to the fullest. So instead of just addressing it at the surface level, we're being asked to revisit it a few times to really hone what we know about ourselves, about other people, about life in general, and of course about source. 1091, because it's 109, it's 109, then it goes through 10, then it gets to 1. Lots of master numbers. The minute that there is a 0 in a number, you're talking master number frequencies. Master numbers aren't necessarily special. It's just that they do carry, or tend to carry, noticeably more spiritual, invisible, energetic themes, and therefore can be a time where ambiguity features more, intangibility of issue. I know something's bugging me, but I can't put my words to it. I don't have the words yet. I know it's there, but I'm not clear on it. So master number periods that have zeros in them can see people really needing to take the time to tap into the amorphous, to actually even understand what it is, whether it's theirs, where it's coming from, what it's made up of. 109, again, I've talked about 10 in a number of ways. Here, what I'd like to talk about is 10-1, 109-1, and 1, all of them being moments that are about knowledge of self. We can think we know ourselves really well, and yet life will turn up in the next second and show us another angle or another degree of how we could clarify what we were running with, perhaps anchor down into what we were running with, let alone even reject it and start again. Self-knowledge is interesting because it is perpetually unfolding. And even that, as a spiritual ism, is worth observing, because sometimes, of course, in the world of humans and in the world of certainty and predictions and all of those things, we can really struggle with the fact that we might be being asked to review or revisit something again. Haven't I just done that? Wasn't I just good at that? Why am I back here? And yet every cycle of repeat, it's not necessarily asking you to cover the same ground. Again, it's asking you to find or address particular gaps in the logic that you have yet to quite possibly stumble across, let alone fill. So know that, because self-knowledge, and therefore what version of you are you choosing to put out there? That doesn't have to be on a loud level, because putting out there begins when you wake up, whether you're conscious, whether you're not. Whether you're choosing to put out, as in choosing to, for want of a better word, promote yourself, present an image, for whatever reason. That doesn't have to be loud. It can be very subtle. For every role that we have, we do present an image, and we do put energy behind presenting that image, even if it's very subtle. So 10, and therefore 109.1 as an MO this month is quite possibly going to be asking all of us to really get in touch with ourselves, to let the noise from the outside world go. Not because it's irrelevant, not because it even needs to be labelled as bad or wrong or faulty, negatively. Yeah? It's not about labelling things negatively. We don't need to label things negatively. We just have to know what they are and work with them, and or choose to walk away. So 109, and that is an interesting statement, because 9 is close. Yeah, close doesn't necessarily mean walk away, but 109 is, you know what, end it, end the cycle. Yeah, but also it's how life helps us end the cycle, even if we don't want to. And that doesn't have to be jarringly obvious. We choose to end. Yeah. It can just be how suddenly, all of a sudden, hello, that dynamic's gone, or I'm not thinking like that anymore, or the energy's shifted, or you know what, there's something else and I'm ready to go that way. So life is a mix always, isn't it? So is numerology, so is spirituality. And the job is to just on one level go with it, not in a brainless way, but in a way that is very conscious, in a way that is stepping every second in a way that allows you to witness, in other words, allows you to actually see what's going on. Yeah, right, physically, but also see, in other words, intuit, sense, know, come to know what's actually happening on the energetic level. Why is this manifesting in your world to the degree that it's giving you grief? Are you making time to make sense of it? Are you getting help to make sense of it to the degree that you need it? 109 is very much a place that's going to be asking people to take the time, to not turn in on themselves negatively, but more importantly, to turn in on themselves, to actually listen to themselves say and express what they need to get rid of the fog, to get rid of the tension, to get rid of the gripping. Even that in itself is an interesting point, very, very quickly. A period like 109, with all of the other dynamics we've got going on this month, can very much be a time that asks us to make sense of the outside world more, especially on an energetic level. Energy speaks if you let it. That doesn't necessarily mean it speaks as you're hearing my voice. To some people it will. But for many of us, it doesn't speak that way. It speaks through the feeling. It speaks through our ability and also our decision to come to quiet and allow our feelings to tell us why they're there. Is what you're sensing angry? Is what you're sensing dull or achy? Is what you're sensing hyper? If I'm tagging off part 2 of this month's observations. The ability to let things speak is also known as the technique called focusing. If you go through to focusing.org, I have no affiliation with this, as in, declaring it, but focusing.org, Eugene T. Gendlin's book, Focusing. It is brilliant. It can teach you how to sit, how to get into what you sense, what you pick up, what you feel, even what you're thinking, in a way that then helps you clear, bear with me, first of all, understand what's playing out around you, within you, for you and from you, but also harness that, heal that, clear that in a way that any energy that is blocked or heavy or whatever those words are, more negative, gets to morph into the spiritual current that it's actually trying to get to. Because again, all energy wants to speak. Yes, stuckness wants to speak. Blocks want to speak. Negativity wants to speak. That's the only reason why it presents on an energetic spiritual level. Anyway, these are thoughts. Good luck for this month. And I don't use good luck because it necessarily has to be a bad forecast. It's not. But good luck anyway, because again, this is the sort of month that can really help people define themselves further. And through that, it's the sort of month that can leave us feeling as, you know what, I am clearer, I am stronger, I know myself now in a way that, bring it on, I am ready for the next moments. I am ready for the challenge. I've got everything I need. Take good care, travel well, call if you need, and please go through to part 4.